All you need to know about the MH370, the plane that disappeared. Welcome to Campus Faction. If you enjoy this type of content, then subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on any of our latest and greatest uploads. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 disappearance, also called MH370 disappearance. Disappearance of a Malaysia Airlines passenger jet on March 8, 2014, during a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The disappearance of the Boeing 777 with 227 passengers and 12 crew members on board led to a search effort stretching from the Indian Ocean west of Australia to Central Asia. The perplexing nature of the loss of Flight 370 is such that it has become one of history's most famous missing aircraft. Disappearance and search. Flight 370 took off at 12:41 a.m. local time and reached a cruising altitude of 10,700 meters, 35,000 feet at 1:01 a.m. The Aircraft Communication Addressing and Reporting System (ACARS), which transmitted data about the aircraft's performance, sent its last transmission at 1:07 a.m. and was subsequently switched off. The last voice communication from the crew occurred at 1:19 a.m. and at 1:21 a.m. the plane's transponder, which communicated with air traffic control, was switched off, just as the plane was about to enter Vietnamese airspace over the South China Sea. At 1:30 a.m., Malaysian military and civilian radar began tracking the plane as it turned around and then flew southwest over the Malay Peninsula and then northwest over the Strait of Malacca. At 2:22 a.m., Malaysian military radar lost contact with the plane over the Andaman Sea. An Inmarsat satellite in geostationary orbit over the Indian Ocean received hourly signals from Flight 370 and last detected the plane at 8:11 a.m. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Initial searches for the plane concentrated on the South China Sea. After it was determined that Flight 370 had turned to the west shortly after the transponder was switched off, search efforts moved to the Strait of Malacca and the Andaman Sea. On March 15th, a week after the plane had disappeared, the Inmarsat contact was disclosed. Analysis of the signal could not locate the plane precisely, but did determine that the plane might have been anywhere on two arcs, one stretching from Java southward into the Indian Ocean southwest of Australia, and the other stretching northward across Asia from Vietnam to Turkmenistan. The search area was then expanded to the Indian Ocean southwest of Australia on the southern arc, and Southeast Asia, Western China, the Indian subcontinent, and Central Asia on the northern arc. On March 24th, Malaysian Prime Minister 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐬𝐷 announced that, based on analysis of the flight signals, Inmarsat and the UK Air Accidents Investigation Branch (AAIB) had concluded that the flight crashed in a remote part of the Indian Ocean, 2,500 kilometers or 1,500 miles southwest of Australia. Thus, it was extremely unlikely that anyone on board survived. Search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. The search for wreckage was hampered by the remote location of the crash site. Beginning on April 6th, an Australian ship detected several acoustic pings, possibly from the Boeing 777's flight recorder or black box, about 2,000 kilometers or 1,200 miles northwest of Perth, Western Australia. Further analysis by the AAIB of the Inmarsat data also found a partial signal from the plane at 8:19 a.m., consistent with the location of the acoustic pings, the last of which were heard on April 8th. If the signals were from Flight 370, the flight recorder was likely at the end of its battery life. Further searches were conducted using a robotic submarine. However, the pings had been spread over a wide area. The submarine found no debris, and tests found that a faulty cable in the acoustic equipment could have produced the pings. Debris discovery. The first piece of debris was not found until July 29, 2015, when the right-wing flaperon was discovered on a beach on the French island of Réunion, about 3,700 kilometers or 2,300 miles west of the Indian Ocean area that was being searched by Australian authorities. Over the next year and a half, 26 more pieces of debris were found on the shores of Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, and Mauritius. 3 of the 27 pieces were positively identified as coming from Flight 370, and 17 were thought to have likely come from the plane. 2 pieces came from the cabin interior, suggesting that the plane had broken up. But whether the plane broke up in the air or on impact with the ocean could not be determined. study of the reunion wing flaperon and a piece of the right wing flap found in Tanzania showed that the plane had not undergone a controlled descent. That is, the plane had not been guided to a water landing. Some researchers note that Flight 370 could have struck the water vertically, a possibility in which the results of one modeling study conducted before the flaperon's discovery suggests could explain the dearth of physical evidence. The debris locations were used to narrow the search area in the Indian Ocean, since some possible crash sites would have been unlikely to produce debris that would have drifted to Africa. The governments of Malaysia, Australia, and China called off the search for Flight 370 in January 2017. An American company, Ocean Infinity, received permission from the Malaysian government to continue searching until May 2017, when the Malaysian Transport Ministry announced that it would call off that search. In July 2018, the Malaysian government issued its final report on Flight 370's disappearance. Mechanical malfunction was deemed extremely unlikely, and the change in flight path likely resulted from manual inputs, but the investigators could not determine why Flight 370 disappeared. Possible causes of the aircraft's disappearance. In the weeks following Flight 370's disappearance, theories ranged from mechanical failure to pilot suicide. The loss of the ACARS and transponder signals spurred ongoing speculation about some form of hijacking, but no individual or group claimed responsibility, and it seemed unlikely that hijackers would have flown the plane to the southern Indian Ocean. That the signals had likely been switched off from inside the aircraft suggested suicide by one of the crew, a possibility that Malaysian authorities have yet to rule out. But nothing suspicious was found in the behavior of the captain, the first officer, or the cabin crew prior to the flight. After the discovery of the debris, some speculated that Flight 370 was shot down, but no evidence of shrapnel from a missile or other projectiles has been found. And with that, we've reached the end of this video all about the plane that disappeared. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for content just like it.